Ukemi Audiobooks presents an unabridged recording of The Outsider by Colin Wilson, narrated by Mark Peachey. Introduction. The Outsider, 20 years on. Christmas Day 1954 was an icy grey day, and I spent it in my room in Brockley, South London. I recall that I had tinned tomatoes and fried bacon for Christmas dinner. I was alone in London. My girlfriend had gone back to her family for the holiday, and I didn't have the money to return to my hometown, Leicester. Besides, relations with my family were rather strained. My father felt I'd wasted my opportunities to settle down in a good office job, and prophesied that I'd come to a bad end. For the past year, I'd been living in London and trying to write a novel called Ritual in the Dark, about a murderer based on Jack the Ripper. To save money during the summer, I'd slept out on Hampstead Heath in a waterproof sleeping bag and spent my days writing in the reading room of the British Museum. It was there that I'd met the novelist Angus Wilson, a kindly and generous man who had offered to look at my novel and, if he liked it, recommend it to his own publisher. I'd finished typing out the first part of the book a few weeks before. He had promised to read it over Christmas. Now I felt at a loose end, so I sat on my bed with an eiderdown over my feet and wrote in my journal. It struck me that I was in the position of so many of my favorite characters in fiction: Dostoevsky's Raskolnikov, Rilke's Malta Lorid's Brigger, the young writer in Hamsun's Hunger, alone in my room, feeling totally cut off from the rest of society. It was not a position I relished. I'd always been strongly attached to my home and family. I'm a typical Cancer, and missed being with them at Christmas. Yet an inner compulsion had forced me into this position of isolation. I began writing about it in my journal, trying to pin it down. And then, quite suddenly, I saw that I had the makings of a book. I turned to the back of my journal and wrote at the head of the page, "Notes for a book, The Outsider in Literature." I have it in front of me now as I write. On the next 2 pages, I worked out a fairly complete outline of the book as it eventually came to be written. I fell asleep that night with a feeling of deep inner satisfaction. It seemed one of the most satisfying Christmas days I'd ever spent. 2 days later, as soon as the British Museum reopened,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?